10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello guys, hello everyone. Hope you all are doing good and safe at your end. Welcome to the day 3 of pre-hackathon speaker sessions. Hack this fall will be hosting live workshops, talks, discussions, and it has already been started from 26th of October and will end on 30th of October. Now, you can also just go and check out the whole complete schedule. It is available on our website, hackthisfall.tech. Now, coming on to the speaker session, currently the events website is generated manually for all the events. We should be having a single source of truth, which is the information. For the whole website, should be coming from only one place. To make things better, we will be using JSON data, and with that, we will be generating the complete website using Node.js. And with that being said, let me introduce you all to our speaker for the session. We have Praveen Kumar joining us.
Hey guys, how's everyone there? I hope everyone is feeling good, and so it's great to meet everyone here in this fall speaker session. And thanks for the team for giving me this opportunity for uh, doing a workshop. So I'm gonna try to make sure everyone is intrigued by cutting all the blades and making sure everything is perfectly given. So that's about the thing. And today, yeah, Dwanan, do you would like to tell more anything more, or shall I
Yeah.
take over?
No, give just me a minute. Yeah. So let me give me a small intro about Praveen. So Praveen is a full stack JavaScript developer specializing in React.js and Node.js. He was an Microsoft MVP and a mentor with more than a decade of experience in the web development field. He started his YouTube journey recently and has been creating a lot of internship opportunities for people around the world. You can just follow his channel named as Praveen Science. We welcome you, Praveen, and look forward to your talk. The virtual stage is all yours.
Awesome. So generally, whenever we are talking about websites and web development, the main thing that we are looking for is the performance of the websites. So if you see this, we have this really crazy issue that the sites are very slow in case if you are using some kind of like a content management system similar to like WordPress or something like that. But there are other ways to do it. Have you all heard about something called as Jamstack? It's not the just a minute thing, but it is JavaScript, API, and markup. So this is one of the interesting concepts in like what do you call this? Uh, Maybe web development area or something like that. And what that what that does is like you create a lot of markup files, like a couple of markup files, and then use JavaScript to fetch the APIs for the data and then show it in the markup. So you got your whole website sorted. But at the same time, it comes with a small issue, right? So if there is any kind of like a network issue or something like that, you won't be able to get that too. So now let's go back still more further back to creating static sites. So yes, as Dwanan said, you have you have to have some kind of like a single point of source, which is the JSON data. So let's create some kind of a JSON data first initially for our, let's say, events application, and then based on that, let's generate the normal HTMLs. So this is the main idea about the session, and we'll be using Git and GitHub for this. So all the code will be shared with the whole world, and let's start working on something. So So I'll start by sharing my screen and explaining my development environment as well. Just give me a second. All right. So I believe everyone will be able to see my screen now. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see the other thing right now. Okay. So great. So at the moment, I'm using Visual Studio Code for doing all the work purposes and other things. And here we'll be looking into what exactly my uh, development environment looks like. So if you go to Google and type in Praveen Dev Environment, you will be able to find out what exactly I use for working with my stuff. So currently I'm using, I'll quickly explain my basic development environment. So I'm using Google Chrome as the web browser because I can use everything on that. Then Git, obviously, for version control and saving all the files. If I want to go back in time, I can do this. For terminal, I'm using omyzsh. It's an open source community driven terminal replacement for Unix based systems. Windows people, you can use something like Commander or something like that. Then skipping all these things, I go directly to Node.js. Node.js is one of the awesome JavaScript runtime environments which help you in getting the JavaScript run. And finally, let's go to the Visual Studio Code. This is what we are going to use now. And with this being said, I've got a couple of plugins installed here. So these are the plugins I'm using. So this link, I believe it will be flashing on the screen, or like the organizing team will be sending over. And one more thing, so yeah, so that's about it. And if you want to know more about me, this is my website, praveen.science, and this is how it looks. It's a small personal portfolio which I have built, and these are my different like different things that I do. And finally, a quick introduction and experience, education, portfolio, what all things I have done, some things I write, those things I write here. And then finally coming back to a place where you want to talk to me or something like that. And not only that, all my social media handles are here. So feel free to follow me, give me a request, and here's my YouTube channel as well. Please go ahead and subscribe it. Okay. Without any further delay, let's go on. So let me create a quick repository right away. So it's going to be on GitHub. So github.com/Praveen Science is my GitHub username, and let's start with creating a new repository. I'm going to create the repository as a public repository. So I'm going to use it as hack this fall static site gen. Okay, so this is going to be the repository, and I'm going to type in as like static site generator created as a part of YouTube live stream. Okay, and hack this fall 2020. Okay, I'm not initializing my repository with anything because I'm going to write everything on my own. So let me click on the create repository. Let me anyway quickly look at what happens. Yes, perfect. Things are going well. Shouldn't have done that, but yes, it's all right. So I'm just gonna check the right. Okay, so that works perfect. Okay, so let's go on. So the first thing that I wanted to look at it is how I would be taking this repository into my desktop. So I go to my Visual Studio Code. If you have configured everything as I have configured mine, you would be able to see clone repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on clone repository. It's going to ask me from clone from GitHub, but don't use that at now. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this whole thing. Okay, this whole thing, and then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my username in front of the github.com and then copy this whole thing, add the URL, and it says clone from URL. Use that option instead. That is very easy. So I'll just go to my favorite folder in downloads, in works, and then I'll select the repository location. So what is going to happen is it's going to create the directory called hack this fall hyphen static sitegen. This is the first step. Perfect. Now the second thing is let's start by creating a node project. So what exactly is a node.js project? How do you create a node.js package? So the first thing what you need to do for that is you go the reason why I like VS Code is it has all the built-in terminals. I don't need to go to any other site for doing all these things. So everything is available in my terminal right now. Okay, so now going back to this, so I've got I need to start with an npm init right now. Okay, so npm stands for node package manager, and npm init does the initialization. So if I do npm init, press enter. So this says this utility will walk you through creating a package.json file, which is the important file for any of the JavaScript based environments, and it will cover most of the common items. So if you want to install anything, it will automatically I mean, we can use something like npm install command for it, but right now we'll be using the normal stuff. Okay, so let's start with this package name, hack this fall static sitegen. Yes, I'm happy with that. Version 1.0, happy. Description, I will just copy it from the GitHub thing. I've given the description somewhere, but I don't know where exactly I gave. Unless and until I get this thing up, I won't be able to see the description anyway. So great. Yeah, it doesn't show the description part here until I push the code anyway. So let's go for it. I'm just going to give us a hack this fall static site. Okay. Entry point, it says index.js. I would say app.js. And then test command, there is no test command for us. Git repository is this one. Keywords, Node.js, JavaScript, HTML, and then author, I'm going to put my name. License, just leave it as ISC. It's going to show you a preview of how it is going to happen, like what is exactly is this. And if it is okay, if you're happy with this, just go ahead and press S. The only thing I will be changing here is like the package.json contains my username here somewhere. So I'll just go ahead and get rid of this Praveen signs at. We put it into do not disturb mode. Yeah, sure. So this will this is the basic way of initializing a package. And then since we have given app.js, I'm just going to put app.js here. And then let's start with a simple thing. Okay, so I'm just going to give a console.log saying hello, hack this fall. And then I save. Okay, so there should be always a start script. Okay, so let's start with start script. And then that's going to be node app. All right, so now if I do npm start, that is the starting command. It is going to say hello hack this fall, which means it works for us. Okay, so now I'm gonna add all these things, initialized package and created basic app. Right, so every time when I do a small change, I'll try to commit the small changes. I always prefer to have a lot of commits with the correct logical separation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push this code master. Perfect. Now if we go to our page and refresh this one, we will be able to see here. So yes, so this is what I was trying to say. It's here. And this see. So the reason why I force push this, I just wanted the first commit to be like the one with the correct stuff. So yeah, so we have got this one working here, which is perfect. So the next thing is we need to create a event JSON file. Okay. So before doing that, let me quickly check if I've got any messages on the thing. Yep, nothing. Right. All right. Superb. So with that being said, let's start with writing our first event. So all these events are supposed to be in the form of JSON, right? So let's start with a JSON file. So now I'll have something called as events.json. Okay, so this is a JSON file. What I want the JSON file to be is an array of events. So more than events, since we have got around like 10-15 minutes left now, I'm just gonna cut short it to create multiple files which has a specific title, a specific paragraph, or you can call it as a blog file. Okay, so blog pages or something like that. All right, so for that, let's try to create a blog site. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to jsbin.com, one of my favorites for trialing out any HTML and CSS. So I've got all these meta viewport and all these things, and we can also have something like a title here. So let's say um, Praveen's events or hack this falls events. Okay, hack this falls events, and then we'll just save it for now. Okay, so this doesn't have anything at the moment, so let's get Bootstrap to it. Okay, so I'm just gonna maximize it to an extent when it is visible. So generally I use a CDN, content delivery network. So if you go to bootstrapcdn.com, you'll be able to find the Bootstrap CSS. So let's quickly use Bootstrap's CSS now. The moment I add the CSS, it immediately updates the page with a lot of things. And with that being said, I also need a good font. So I would love to use Open Sans. So what I'm going to do is I will just go with fonts.google.com, where I can add Open Sans as my font. So if I go here, all I need is the 400 version, 300 version, and 600 version. So that is semi bold, light, and regular. So if I just need to embed, I just need to copy this link, and let me go to our page and paste it over here. You won't see any difference at the moment here. So before, so we just need to wait for some time. So let's go to our body and then try to add a font family, Open Sans. And let's try to create something here. Hello, that's Open Sans. So now in Bootstrap, I'm just gonna go to getbootstrap.com, which is the documentation site. I'm gonna quickly go to the nav bar. And yeah, basically I'm a lazy person, so I just love to copy paste things. I hope everyone likes the dark navbar version. So I'm just gonna go with the navbar heading and replace this part. So since we all like the dark one, I'm just gonna change it to dark. So there you go. And I'll be changing this to hack this false events. That's the main page of it. And we want it to be centrally aligned as well. So what we will do now is let's quickly inspect this and see what exactly they have done. So span is like it's been displayed as inline block. So I'm just gonna give a class called dblock so that this thing takes up the whole stuff. And here I believe it is a flex. So here as well, I'll be giving dblock. So if I do this, I can clearly see that this span is taking up the whole width. Now if I do a text center here, it's gonna centrally align the page. Okay, so we have done with the top bar. Okay, and now if I try to put hi or something like that, I don't see a space between this. So I'll just try giving some space by using a margin bottom, well, to an extent of margin bottom. So this gives a bit of space. And when it comes to the content, all we need to do is we need to use a container row format, and I'll use a call 12 for now, and then start with some kind of a content. Okay, let's start with the heading. So let's say h1. So since we are not using something like an event, but this time we will try to use a kind of like um, event data or something like that. So something like this. Okay, let's start with this. Uh, let's start with my own event here. Okay, so we'll just copy this static site generator using JavaScript from this one, and okay, it looks actually fine. But let me have a quick look at how it looks really in in a website. Hmm. Interestingly, it is not displaying at the moment, so I'm just gonna try using this way. So h1 seems to be a really a huge size, so I'm just gonna try to use a display class, display 2. Wow, display 1 is huge. Let me try to do display 4. That looks good, but at the same time, maybe I should be using, okay, so I guess it is just because I'm using a small site. It looks like this. So text center we will put again here, so it gets centrally aligned. And now, apart from these things, so this is again, this one is what do you call this? It's a dynamically generatable thing, right? So we have to generate it using the JSON form. This thing needs to be coming from the JSON. So I'm just going to put it as JSON title. Okay, for now I'm just going to put JSON title, and let's give a paragraph with lead as the class. Hello. Let's give normal paragraph with hello. Okay, there is a difference. So lead has a really a good difference. Let me try to use the display 4 here again to see how it looks. Okay, that's not a good idea. Okay, let me use it as a lead and text center. So this will give you a description of the thing. Okay, so JSON description of the event, or short or subtitle. Subtitle is better in this case. Okay, so we have a JSON title, we have a JSON subtitle at the moment, and then we will start with the contents. So let's give a heading 2 and start with about the event, and let's give JSON about event, and finally um, prerequisites. Should we use prerequisites or anything? Okay, about the event, date and time. We'll use date and time here. That is better, right? So all the events will have date and time. And we can give a couple of things here, like ul li star 3, which in that can have a strong and the span. So it looks like this, right? So we can give like date, time, what else should we add? Okay, for now let's use date and time alone. Let's not complicate things. Here I'm just gonna put JSON it, JSON time. All right, so this will be helping us to create the date and time sections of the whole page. Okay, so the about event is going to be again like a rich text thing, so we can also use markdown here. Okay, I'll tell you what markdown is. And now coming back to our footer, there is, I guess that's it. We have almost done everything, and now coming to the footer part, um, or else we don't need the footer at the moment. So if we try to use the container as container fluid, it's going to give us some more space. So this is really, or else let's use container alone. So this is going to have the perfect way of, like, the user experience will be better in terms of using the container instead of container fluid. Right, so now we have got the basic version of what exactly we want to see. Oh yes, before that we also need to have an image. So let's have an image with the class responsive and image. Let's try to get a cute cat picture. So images.google.com cat. That seems to be a nice cat. So let's copy the image address. It's the imgur, so that I don't get any copyright violations. Not only that, it's a imgur is a CDN, content delivery network for images, so which is a good way of doing things. Okay, so this is how it looks right now. So I can clearly see that the cat picture has gone worst. So for any image that is inside the paragraph, I want the max width to be 100%. Boom, that's perfect. So you have a title, you have a event image, and you have a subtitle, which is perfect, right? So that's good. And this is going to be again JSON title, and then let's have the image as the, like, it should be from JSON image URL or something like this. Okay, so the reason why I have put JSON hyphen is, like, we will be getting all those data from JSON, and let's try to uh, name it such a way that we can easily identify it. Other than that, there is nothing else. Okay, so perfect. So we have got a clear idea of how a single event page should look like. Now this is the entire event page. Okay, so if we look into the um what do you call this, the gallery page or something like that, we need to look into something else. So let's start with this one. So let's start with the event JSON. Okay, so what all things that we have done so far, let's copy this whole thing. So we've got, if you see the JSON hyphens, we've got so many things. Okay, so title is being repeated, so we can get rid of that. We have image URL, we have these couple of things. Okay, so let's try to copy these things and add them as a single object here. Okay, okay, so we've got one single objects JSON looking like this. So we need to have multiple things for it. Okay, so let's go ahead at this, and now if you see the date and time, it needs to be in a specific format. So we are not using date time or something like that. So let's get rid of these things. Now with the image URL being given here, where's our doctype HTML? Let's get the image URL from here. Also, let's try to get another image as well. This is 1200 by 600, right? So image size 1200 x 600 cat. We should think of some other thing as well. Hackathon. Okay, let's do hack this fall. Boom. We've got Eddie Jody's thing. So I'm just gonna copy this one. Folks, Do you have my picture as well? Boom, we got ours as well. Superb. So we've actually got all these things. Perfect. Nice. So let's go ahead again to imgur.com and let's try to add these things. That's mine. That's Eddie's. And finally, that's another kitten. Cool. So we've got a couple of events now already. Great. So now let's copy this one. So that's yeah. Let's use static site gen. Then let's use Eddie Jodis, open source and money. So I can give my name here. That's better to use a subtitle. Praveen Kumar Purushottaman, Eddie Jodi, and finally we got another kitten. Find some nice cat names. Okay, so now we have got almost like we have got everything perfectly written here except the date and time part. So for the date and time part, we will try to add something like in the reverse order 2020. This is October, right? So it is going to be 10, and let's start with 5. So let's say 10 a.m. something like this. I don't know whether this will be working fine, but let's try it out. This is going to be on 15th. Oh no, it's actually on 28th. Eddie Jody, we have no clue when it is 29th. Okay, I have to be there then. Right. So this is going to be on this one. Look, let's make it as 4:30 p.m. and 29 5:30 p.m. And finally, we have another cat. So we'll just put this one some stupid date. Any date might work. Our JSON data is created. So I'm just gonna quickly commit it. JSON data is created. Oh, just for creating a JSON data, we took a long time. That should not be the case next time. Okay, perfect. So we've got all these things, right? Now, the next thing is we will be looking into how we will be making this whole thing work. All right. So the first thing is we need to separate all these things in the right way possible. Okay. So first of all, we can do something like this. So this is the head part, right? So this is the first, the scaffolding part, and then we have the head part and other things. Okay. So let's start with our terminal spitting out all these things. So if I want to run the terminal again after I do it, after I change anything, let me push the code. I need to keep on doing npm start again and again and again. So I don't want to do that. So if I do npm start again it says hello hack this fall. But every time when I do something, I need to create I need to switch on the npm start. So I'm going to install something called as nodemon, which is going to monitor my files for any changes that I'm going to take place. So once this is done, oh shit. All right. I hope that works. Perfect. Right. So I currently installed nodemon and initialized git ignore to ignore all the node package files. And now, well, I haven't done it completely. So if I go to package.json, uh, used nodemon to start the app, right? So if I do npm start here again, it's going to say clean exit waiting for changes before restart. So if I close this and save this once again, it is going to rerun the whole page. Perfect, right? Super. So now first thing which I wanted to do is I want to import the events.json. So const events equal to, this is an old way of doing things, so we need to use the require, and then I'm giving the events.json here, and I'm also gonna do there are events dot length events available. So if I save this, we can clearly see that there are 4 events available. So we got this perfectly working. Now included the events JSON in our app. Great. So that worked to an extent. So let's see what are all the events available. Okay. Listing all the events. And I can do something like events.forEach and give a function with event. I don't think I can use the event ev, and then I'll start with, oh, actually I'll do one thing, ev and index, start with something like event hash. Okay, so since I'm using a lot of things, I'm going to use the backticks idx, this one. I'll be using, oh, name of the event. So again, I'll open up my template, ev dot date time. Really? Where do I have a date and date time? Oh, crazy. This is actually the wrong thing. So all these date need to be date time. These things happen. Okay, so if I try to do event dot title and then save this one, we can see that we've got event 1 meow, event 2, event 3, and event 4. Perfect. Successfully displayed all the events. Okay, great. That's not a big deal for us. Now what we need to do is we can do processing or something like that, and then we can create the HTMLs for each of these things. That is what is our main aim now. So for all these things, what we need to do is we need to split the files into separate ways. Okay, so let's create another file here. Okay, so let's create another file which says generator.js. So we are using only smaller names, we'll just go with this one. Okay, let's create a function event. So this will take an event as a parameter, and then it does something. Okay, so and module.exports generate event. Let's do this. And then let's also do console.log. This processing one can go here. So we can also give this IDX as well. Console.log, we can go with this processing stuff completely. Okay. And now if I need to do this, I can get rid of this whole thing and put generate event, which technically includes for me. Okay. And then I'll save this one. Now still it works perfectly. So created a generator function for the events. Now I don't need to work on this particular folder. So I don't need to work on the app.js. Instead, I can just go ahead and start working on this file because it is smaller now, right? So it is always better to split our files in small chunks of things, and also put like pages for 4 events. So if I save this, after processing all these things, it says generated pages for 4 events or something like that. So what I'm going to do is git add and me commit it, push it. Perfect. I'm just going to quickly check the YouTube thing. Okay, commands are 7. Oh, wow. He said that. It's just said that. Right. All right. So let's carry on. There is no more questions or anything in that case. Now, once we have done this, the next thing that we need to do is we need to create the HTML parts. Okay. So at the moment, until this, there is no, this is the maximum thing that we are supposed to create as a scaffolding part. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to have our static files. Okay. So static.js, and here we will create two things. Const generate header. It's an empty function because it doesn't take anything, and it just generates this. Then we have const generate footer. Again, it doesn't take anything, and it generates whatever that's left here. We'll just get rid of these things. See, after this, all the dynamic information need to start coming in. Okay. So until this, the dynamic information were there. After this, there is nothing. Okay. Generate footer as this, and let's save it. Before saving it, we need to also do module.exports. We'll give these two things: generate header and generate footer. Perfect. So these two things should come from the static side. Static. Okay. So we do generate it doesn't come now. So those are named exports. So let's try to go to the static.js. Let's copy this whole thing and then put it over here, equal to require static. Okay. And now if we try to do console.log, generate header and save it, you go to the node, you can clearly see that the header part has been generated. And if I do the same thing and put generate footer here, and if we see, technically if we see here, for any event, for a single event, it has generated the whole HTML with the header and the footer. Perfect, right? Now coming to the event generator. Okay, we can save it as, okay, before that, let's try to save this. Created static header and footer generator. Perfect. Now the next thing that we need to do is, this is where the main stuff comes up. We can get rid of this, we can get rid of this. So we have got the generate header and generate footer done. Now the middle part is the event generator. So we go to, if we try to go to the event file, let's save it as event.js, and let's say const generate event, and this one takes the event and then it generates something. So this needs to generate this whole thing. All right. So now let's save this. The first thing that we need to do is JSON title. So before doing these things, if you go to the event and events.json, we've got title, subtitle, image URL, markdown, about, element, event, and date time. So we don't need like this. We can make this without the markdown. Dated the events schema. Right. So we've got these 5 things possible for access. Okay. So inside the event.js, what we can do is we can select all these things. We can do a return at the end. So return. Before that, what we need to do is we need to get all these things from EV. All right. It keeps processing all the files and again and again and again. So now starting with the title. So where is the title? Where exactly I should be putting the title? It should be here. So title is here. I'll just copy this one because it's easier. JSON-subtitle. Okay, JSON title again. JSON image URL. So I'll just put this and dollar. This and dollar. About event is there. We've got date and time and date, JSON date and JSON time. Okay, that's where a funny thing might come up. But before that, let's try to go to the subtitle part. Okay, subtitle. And finally, we have got JSON date and JSON time, but we only have got date time. Let's try to use the date time and split it with a space. Again, it's going to be a temporary thing. So don't save. Where's our events.json? So we've got like date and time. The only problem is we need to make sure. Okay, I know what to do now. So there should be only one limit. So let's try that. Anyway, the date is going to be the 0th one. The same way, the time is going to be one along with the 2. Right. Let's see what this does to the code. Okay, if you already look at this one, it has almost created those content. Okay, it hasn't actually, sorry. uh I was like bit over enthusiastic. So the only thing which we need to do now is we need to get the generate event. So again, I go to this one at the end, module dot exports. Let's give the generate event, and here with the console dot log, let's try to use generate event, which is, oh, I can't use the generate event here. Even body we will do, or else maybe we can do generate body. So let's get rid of this one, generate body. It is not suggesting me anything, so just need to use generate body require event. All right. So if I do this, um, okay, I need to send this EV inside it. So if I try to save this, we can clearly see that it is actually generating all these things. Now, if I go back to our generate body again, there seems to be some issue here. So I'll just remove this one. So if you see here, if I maximize the screen, we can clearly see that the doc type HTML head, everything is perfectly displayed here. Okay, so we are almost able to display the whole HTML page inside this. So if I try to copy this one and go to jsbin.com and just like that paste it out, so it is exactly showing what I want to show, right? So we have got to the code level, right? We just need to make sure this whole thing is being written in the um, document. So let's go back to our implemented generator for the body. And finally, we have got this generator that is generating on the console, but it should not be generating on the console, but it should be actually generating on the file. It should be creating a file here. Okay. So what we will do now is, let's go back to our event generator. Let's create a element, or create like const final HTML, which should be the content of these three things joined. Okay, so either we can do a plus this and this. This is the simplest way of adding things, right? So this is the final HTML, and this final HTML needs to be created. Okay, so we have created the final HTML here, but the only thing is we need to make this event workable, like inside a HTML file. So what we can do is, we have a particular library called fs. So we can do const fs equal to, or else let's try to see if the fs is already available with us. So fs, this is not defined. Okay, so let's try to do this. Const fs require, fs is already available. Okay, great. Now we've got our fs. So there is a way to synchronously write the file. So fs write file, and using the sync method, so there is something called as fs write file sync. So this is the syntax of it. So the file will be a string, which will be the URL or like the destination. There is a data, and then we have a options, which is an optional one. So let's go with so what is the return values? So we need to do something on the file name. Okay, so I'm going to do the IDX or maybe we can do something like event. Sorry, let's create a build folder. So we need to check if this directory exists. So fs node.js check directory exists. There is something like fs dot exist sync of path. We can use that one. Okay. So if fs dot exist sync dot events, if not, if the directory doesn't exist, we need to create the directory. So we can use fs create directory sync. Let's try to create a directory if it doesn't exist. So what we need to do is exist sync, then there is a make directory sync. Okay. So fs dot mkdir sync. The reason why I'm using synchronous function is because this will be a synchronous module. So only when this is completed, then we can do the next one. That's the reason. So let's go ahead and create a build folder. And before writing this one, let's save this and see if I save it immediately, I should be getting a build folder created. Boom, there's a build folder created. See? Okay, let's delete this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got this mkdir sync. Now I want to write file dot slash build slash the build folder is obviously empty. And in case of this build folder, okay, when I'm creating this one, I'm gonna type in event minus, I want the event ID. So idx dot html, and the data is going to be the final html. Okay. Now we can give created event the event title. Okay. So now if we save this one, we can make it as events actually. There is an events folder that got created. And if you open it, we've got event 0, event 1, event 2, event 3. I don't think this is the right thing that we want. So idx plus 1 we want to put. Okay. And let's delete this events folder again. And let's try saving it. We've got event 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if I, and that's it. So we've got it created. So implemented the generator. All right. Now the final thing is, since we have got this events folder here, what we can do is we can also create a simple HTML file, which is an index file. Okay. So how shall we create the index file? That's the last step that we are going to do. Let's have all these things already, which is there. And we don't need this h1 at all. We can have call 12, call sm6, call md 4, right? And then we can have something like, not so much, should have the image for sure, and then we should have the link to the event. Right, so this one will be a linkable thing, it goes to that particular event. So we need something like this. Okay, and this one needs to be updated. That is the last step here. So what we will be doing here is, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to create the real generator. Okay, so we already have the generate event, right? So the first one we want to do is we want to create the main event. Okay, so event, it's going to the generate event is going to generate only the list of events. So let's create another file which is going to be generate home.js or genhome.js. Okay, I made it as genhome. Let's make it as genhome. And here it's going to be very simple, as simple as that. So let's copy this whole thing. Oh shit, sorry. So there should be a function again. So const genhome equal to the event list. Okay, we can make it as EVS events. Okay, the return value is going to be this one, no doubts, right? But what is going to happen here? At this point of time, this needs to be looping. Okay, so here we will cut this part. So this is one thing. Then this is another thing. Let's put all these things inside stuff, comma, and then this should be joined with another line break. So in the middle, we need to have something. Okay, so let's do const final HTML for this as well. Final home HTML equal to this. You can push this later. So first thing we will push this thing. Final home HTML dot push is gonna push this part. At the moment it has started with this one. Okay, so now we need to again re-loop the code with the events. So EVS is going to be the loop. So let's go with the for each and EV comma IDX. So what do we need here? Final home HTML dot push. We need to push something. What do we need to push? We need to push this one. So the first thing that we need to push is let's get all these things again from that. So if you go to the generator.js, we have required. Let's go to the generate body. We've got all these things. This, right? So let's go back to our generate home. So we need the title, we need the subtitle. Okay. We need the image URL. We don't need the about email and date time. Only these three things we need. So let's start with the title. Let's get our JSON title. Have subtitle. And then finally, let's have image URL. Anything that we left? Yes, we did leave the. So here what we need to do is we need to put event minus IDX plus 1 .html. Okay, so this is what we require for one particular event. Okay, so now we have pushed everything. Then we just need to do return final home HTML dot join with an empty line. This is what we need. Okay, this particular thing has the gen home. So module dot export gen home. Okay, so let's start by creating the processing home page. See, generated home page. So what we need to do first here is, even before this thing does, we don't want to do all these things. Okay, so let's cut this part, save it, and put that here. Okay, so if this events folder is there, if not there, create the events folder, and then let's create the files, write the file as well. Okay, so this should generate the index.html. Let's delete this one. And this is not the final HTML, but it's going to be the generate home, right? Oh, gen home. Okay, so this is the content which needs to be sent to the index.html. The moment I save this folder, let me try to open this on Finder. Now the moment I save this, it should automatically generate all these things. It didn't. So there seems to be some issue. FS is not defined. Okay. So let's go to the generator.js. So I just need to add this FS. I guess not here. I guess I need to put the FS here. Okay, the moment I save it, it's gonna create all these files. Save. Again, no. Cannot read property for each of undefined. Interesting. Forgot to send the events. Right, the moment I save this folder, it is going to create me all those files. Okay, boom, index. Got all these things. Clicking on these things will go to the respective folders. Only thing is, this one is not centrally aligned. So let's centrally align that. And also we will link all these elements too. So if we go to the gen home, everything needs to be linked. So let's go to our, where is our linking thing here? Ahref. This page, this one is also linked, but only one thing that we need to do is make all these things in the centrally aligned. So we can give a text center. Did it work? No. So we added text center here. Seems like it did not work. Yep, it worked. So the only thing that I need to do is I don't want any margin bottom here. So MB0 I'll put, or MB1 I'll put. The margin is cleared, and finally, for this thing, we can give a MB4. Yeah, so it gave the best amount of space required, and we've got all these things. Clicking on this one, it's going to look at the right files, right? So if we go to any of these files as well, it has got all these things. Okay, so we can also update the. Okay, I guess we have added a lot of files now. Let's try to look into it. So first thing, we created the. Yeah, actually, you can add this one as well. Created a home page generator. And what all things that we did? Directory checking mode to home page generator. Then added home page first. Perfect, that's done. Now either we can think about using this events as a static site, or we can also get rid of this. So the first thing which we will be doing is, let's try to use this events as a static site. Like um, the next thing that we will be doing is, like, once we save this, all these things get updated. So let's have a quick look at how it looks like. Pretty good, no questions. There is only one issue here between this and this, which is the event page. For index, I believe everything seems to be good. Index also, there is some space. I mean, like, we need some spaces here, but that's all right. It's just pure HTML, right? So updated the events. Boom, that's it. So we do this, and if we go for our pushing thing, git push, we'll be able to look at the events generated here. Perfect. And now what we can do is, we can go to our settings. Let's create GitHub Pages from master, not the root or docs. Only these two things are there. So what we need to do is, we need to convert this events into docs. Okay, rename docs. Something actually happened. Oh shit. Okay. Events renamed for yes. All right. So now let me push it. So let's use the docs, and let's save this folder. GitHub Pages source saved. So if we go back to here, we have the docs pages as well. If we go to our settings, and one more thing we need to do. Let's also update our JavaScript files to use the docs as the page. So the generator and gen home is the one that we need to use. So let's go to the app and make this into docs. And then for events, for the generator.js, let's make docs. And now you have got the latest docs. And then we can change this into updated events into docs in code. The final thing what we will be doing is, let's update our events.json and see what happens. So if I just minimize this one, and static site generator is very performant. This session is taken by Praveen from London, and then Eddie is open source god. He's gonna talk about how open source is gonna get you a lot of money. And Garfield is there you go. Then finally Tom and Jerry. Boom. The moment I save it, all these events are updated. Since we are not using the about event in any of the index page, we don't have the particular index not getting updated. Okay, so updated the events data, updated events pages, and now time to push it. Push, and then once this push has been done, you go to our code. You can see a green dot soon coming here. Okay, that's interesting. There you go. Everything is created automatically. But yeah, I don't understand what is happening here. Okay, now it is updated again. So let's reload the page. We should be able to see, yes, the updated information, and we have got the date and time as well. So that's it, folks. That's what I wanted to share with everyone. And the source code is also available right now. And what do you think about this one? Oh wow, there are so many comments now. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So we can go ahead for the question and answers.
Sure.
Right.
Let me have a quick look at the questions. So Akil Tushar is
Yeah.
asking which one is better framework, or, which one is better framework or vanilla JS, and if framework, then which one is better? So that's a good question. And I would completely say that it depends on the person's use, because for example, I like React, some people like Angular, some people like Vue, and because of those kind of reasons, I will say like go ahead with whichever you want, and that is completely your personal preference. um, and the same thing, like Eddie Jody has answered something, the right using the right tool for the right job is even better. That's perfect. Then the next question is, how can we know which is the right tool? Again, comes with the experience, which is perfect. Opinion in a sense, React versus Vue versus Angular. My opinion will be going to React because I know React inside out, and I'll just go with that. Then, yeah, Pratyaksh says, I think static site gen can be really useful for e-commerce or a blogging platform. Blogging platform, yes. E-commerce, maybe. could be or could not. But hey, so that's about it. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I did not know that it will take 1.5 hours of this whole thing. I thought I'll finish it off in half an hour, but great. And
It
please,
was a great
yes, thank you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. So the channel link is in the YouTube chat. And I'm so happy for being here. Thanks, Adya. And
Thank you so much, Praveen, for joining us today.
sure, it was really helpful.
Uh, and some hackers, those who are participate in this hackathon, but they are not able to join this live session as of now. So they will be provided the recording of this session. So they might have some questions regarding
Uh,
Node.
Send them over to me through WhatsApp. WhatsApp will be the best way. So if you have a WhatsApp group, that would be great. Or we can even use the Discord link. I'm also active
Yeah,
in
we
Discord.
are using Discord. Yeah, we are preferring Discord. So we have
Perfect.
actually made a channel
Hmm.
that is Ask Speaker on our Discord server only.
Okay.
So you can have a look over there if someone is having any questions regarding it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That works.
And again, thanks a lot, Praveen. It was
Yeah.
super awesome session, and it was great to have you with us. And we have learned a lot from you.
Thank
And
you.
the way you use VS Code is awesome. And there is one question from my side
Go on.
that is there any tip or kind of any suggestion for you for the hackers who are currently participating in this hackathon?
Plan, plan, plan. Drink lots of water, plan, and then proceed with whatever you are doing. Because as a hackathon, you have limited time and limited resource. But looking at the current scenario, there is unlimited stuff everywhere. So try to show something really unique. And the world is a completely competitive environment at the moment. So get your
Yeah.
stand perfectly done.
Yeah. So guys, get hydrated and get on the hackathon.
Yeah, and don't
Yeah.
be sick like me. I'm like completely sick these days, and it's really hurting. And even today, I'm like running temperature like what? Yeah, should be around
Yeah.
101
You will
Fahrenheit.
get it soon.
So right, because we
Um.
planned this like long ago, so I didn't want to miss this or disappoint anyone. So that's the reason I, in spite of being sick, I thought, okay, let me get in and let me do something. All right, cool guys. And anything else?
No, I don't think we are having any questions as of now. So
Mhm.
thank you for your valuable suggestions and your time, and
Superb.
thank you for giving a great session. And thanks once again for joining us today.
Please follow me on my socials as well. Please connect with me on my socials. And it's down there, Praveen.science. You can find all the information there. And also, don't forget to send me a LinkedIn request. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll find a lot and lot of things. And there is something really awesome coming up this weekend. So don't miss it.
Yeah, I also seen your videos, so it's super duper. Guys,
Thanks,
do
man.
follow his channel, and we'll be in touch.
So we'll be doing one more with our Hack This Fall team on my channel soon.
Sure, sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you so much,
And
Praveen.
yeah, see you.
Yeah, bye. So, guys, we are going to release the feedback form, which will be shared in the chat section. So, do fill it now. It will be open for only 15 minutes and it won't be reopened again. So, don't forget to fill that form. You will be issued your certificates on the basis of that form only. Thanks a lot, everyone who joined us today. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so you can get the updates for all the upcoming workshops which are coming ahead. So stay tuned, stay safe, take care.